Shut up and sit down.
Cooktown is famous for being the location where James Cook beached his tall ship the Endeavour for repairs in 1770. Today it's more or less a tourist hub, with people drawn here for the long history of the place. Much of what happens around here outside of the tourist industry is either predominantly the rural sector well outside of town or connected with law enforcement. On the 2 days I went exploring around town, I ran into the police some 3 separate times. I can tell you the local coppers around here really earn their wages. Nothing like those lazy Sydney coppers who only leave the police station if they're forced to, or there is something in it for them. Cooktown was once a hustling and bustling place. In 1880 it had a population of over 7,000 people, which is nearly 3 times what it is today. The town is about a 100-kilometre detour off the main highway, and only really your hardcore, adventure-loving, caravan towing 4x4 enthusiast has enough grit to make it all the way here. As the crow flies, Port Douglas is only about 175 kilometres away, but the Daintree Forest puts up such a barrier that you'd think you're in a different country. It's a place where you'd only really know where all the resources are before you can properly function, and any form of specialist is likely to entail a short aeroplane ride away. In short, life functions differently up here. Wujurul is an Indigenous community built on the Bloomsville River, and is the first structured Indigenous community that I've actually been to. Down south, the Indigenous people live mainly more integrated with the wider community, but up here there's a real divide between the government-run Indigenous communities and everybody else who lives only a few kilometres up the road. I wanted to take more photographs of what I saw, but I didn't really feel comfortable doing so, and the bike cameras are playing up, so I didn't really get any footage that way either. The first thing I noticed was a stark lack of enterprise. I mean, nobody here has a side hustle. I brought some fuel from the local service station and some food from the general store to last me a couple of days, but it seems like the government had to provide all these services and employ non-Indigenous people to operate them. There's a total lack of investment in the day-to-day running of these operations. At best, the only Indigenous people I saw working were mowing the grass beside the roads. It disheartens me to see that there was no Indigenous arts or crafts. That was the white people up the road. I saw no Indigenous small-scale farming, such as backyard nurseries or small cattle lots. No, that was the white people up the road. I saw no Indigenous-run tourist boating or fishing operations. Again, that was the white people up the road. I wanted to stop and take more time exploring the path between each stop, but the hops are getting longer and the road is getting more desolate. Coming out of Townsville was more sugarcane, and with about 650 kilometres to the next stop and about half a tank of gas, I had to stop twice for fuel and wanted to pick up a package at Marrabee on my way through. In hindsight, arriving at my destination with only about 2 litres of fuel wasn't a good idea. I finally got off the A1 and headed up the Atherton Tablelands, where the countryside changed dramatically. It started to rain and I saw a billboard on the Marmule Tropical Skywalk, so I thought I'd stop and have a look while I put on my raincoat. Obviously not doing my research led to a $28 ticket and some 30-minute sweaty walk up to a tropical lookout. Once I managed to get on my way again, I found a public lookout just down the road which would have done the trick. Riding through the Atherton Tablelands would have been much more enjoyable if I was not now sweaty and late. Getting to Marrabee just before 2, and after many of the cafes had closed, I managed to get my new drone from the post office. Across from the road was another pie shop which I thought I'd take a gamble on. The food wasn't that bad as long as you're not on a diet. Filling up the tank and heading off up the road along the tablelands behind the Daintree Forest. Finally the sun broke out, the road thinned out, and my 4G data connection just disappeared. No longer tussling with other traffic, I was able to stop and take some pictures of the road. I got to my accommodation just minutes before the sun disappeared and was confronted by a creek. With no mobile reception or Wi-Fi, it was like, oops, what do I do? Finally chickened out from riding across the creek, I decided to take off my boots and hope there was no crocodiles. My luck held. After one glorious week without rain in Townsville, my nemesis had returned. One of the main reasons I decided to travel through the tropical north this time of year was it was supposed to be dry. I wasn't able to find an Airbnb in Cooktown, but I was able to find a natural-loving tropical getaway down the road in Bloomsfield, which is still very much part of the larger Daintree Forest region. It wouldn't be an adventure if it wasn't for the challenges. But I wasn't close to a supermarket, and not being willing to wade through the knee-high creek at night, nor ride through an unlit road without any signage, has meant that I'm surviving on my emergency food rations. I needed much more greater preparation to go off grid like this. I'm sorry, but these natural retreats just mean that you share a pint of your blood with mosquitoes, and yet you sleep with cane toads. After some time, I did settle in and explore the area around me for what resources did exist, but you really do need to know the local knowledge to prepare before you get here. The bike is starting to develop a clunk between first and second gear. I would normally double shift into third when riding on the road, but now I'm starting to worry that the oil is starting to spoil. I've tried adjusting the clutch cable and putting pressure on the gear lever before changing, but quick shifting makes it hard to double shift. The bike needs to get me all the way home, and I'm starting to nursemate it just in case. The bike cameras have stopped working, so I've ordered a new set. There was a moment when riding through the Ruru National Park. It was raining, and I was sitting behind a truck getting covered in spray. We were moving slowly up a hill when the truck moved to the left-hand side of the lane. I assumed he was pulling left to let me pass, but just as I passed, there was another truck coming around the corner in the opposite direction. I really would have liked to have shown you the footage, but I don't think the truck driver would have seen what was coming ahead. But from now on, I'm not going to believe truck drivers, as it's not their life that goes splat on the oncoming traffic. The internet is getting sketchy up here, and I'm not sure whether I'll have the bandwidth to upload this episode or not. I think that I'm sharing a standard geostationary satellite connection. The Starlink dish would have finally been useful, even if it may have been blocked by many of the trees. 4G has no chance, and I've started memorizing the streets' names before leaving the Wi-Fi. Google can download the maps and cache them on my phone and geofix my location without data, but is unable to give me redirections if I go offline and get lost. Sometimes I have a weak mobile phone coverage with 0 bars that can receive SMS, but data has no chance. I'm cold, wet and hungry. I'm at a latitude of 15 degrees south, and I'm wearing a jumper and lighting fires to stay warm. Once the sun goes down, I'm trapped behind a 30-kilometre unlit country road and a knee-high creek, which is some 30 kilometres above sea level in croc-infested country. I find this ecotourism needs a lot more preparation, and I'm sure all those ADV guys out there watching this are saying, "I told you so." If only you had a GS or an Africa Twin, you could have gotten across that creek, no worries. There's something very macho about this place. It's very man over nature, whether people look at you strange for not having a 4x4 or knobby tyres on your bike. It reminds me of that Tim Allen's portrayal of Tin the Toolman Taylor, where the answer to everything is more power. If I had my time again, would I have stopped twice at Cairns? Once on the way up and the other on the way back down? I don't think so. The only thing that's really getting to me is the walk across the creek. I really wish they had built a suspension walkway so I didn't have to change my shoes each time, or look both ways for crocodiles before crossing. You really need some time to experience the place and get to know about what's going on around you before you can work out a workable solution with what you have. Next stop is Narrum, stopping at the Han River Roadhouse and Cohen. I really try to get some more action shots of the road with my new drone. At Narrum there should be a Woolworth, so hopefully I can get back into my usual routine. And hopefully I'll be able to complete my first goal of this trip and get into Cape York. So thanks for following my adventures, and remember to go out there and do something to enjoy your day.